guys, welcome back to another Rebel Scale video. Today we're talking about the TIE Striker, particularly Micro Galaxy Squadron's TIE Striker, which I was very excited about, and overall I think they did a pretty good job. I have a few issues, the main one being the wings, which a lot of people have talked about and had issues with, but first, just a little bit about the TIE Striker. It's a very unique design. This is a ship that the Empire built as an atmospheric fighter. So it's designed specifically for like those high security installations like you see on Scarif. And it has those foldable wings, so which makes a lot of sense when you think about it. It folds up for when it's just cruising. And that actually maximizes, I mean, if you think about it, that's maximizing the amount of sunlight that is hitting those solar panels. And then when it's ready to go to attack mode, those fold down, giving it more surface area to get sunlight as it's swooping and swooshing around. And it gives it a little bit more of an aerodynamic shape. It's fairly heavily armed for a fighter. I mean, you've got the lasers on the cannon tips, you've got the heavy lasers underneath, lasers right underneath the cockpit, and then it's got a proton bomb launcher that's somewhere underneath, right around in there. Design wise, Rogue One, the people at ILM for Rogue One took a lot of inspiration from the original trilogy, obviously. So you've got this section right here that is straight from the this actually shows a little bit better, but you've got this section that's straight from the TIE Bomber. And then the wings are actually inspired by the TIE Fighter. So if you were to take a TIE Fighter and do that, let's do that. Then take this part and then stretch that out. You've basically got that wing right there. So they took that part of the wing and stretched it in different directions to get what you have right there. And then of course the tops of the canopies, those are just taken from the TIE Fighter and duplicated. I think it's a really cool design. I like the TIE Reaper more, but I really do like the TIE Striker. I think they did a good job on it, design wise. Now, Jazwares, they got a few things right that I'm very happy about. One of the biggest issues with TIE Striker models, even the Fantasy Flight line, which they try to be very accurate, was they pivoted the wings in the middle of the hull, which looks very different. When they're up, you don't really notice it, but when they're down, you could tell that the wings pivot from the center. Like I said, Fantasy Flight did that. This is the Titanium Black Series version. The Micro Machines did that. Bandai and Jazwares did it correctly, where they pivot from right at the top. So it looks like the hull is actually kind of hanging on those wings, which I appreciate. I appreciate that they got that correct. My issue with the Jazwares version is that the wing thickness is just incredibly thick, and I don't see any reason for that, because the TIE Fighter wings are very nice, thin, they're proportional to the rest of the ship, and then you had to connect the wings right along that line. Now, what I've found, and you guys, everybody's got some different methods for doing this, but what I used super glue. I tried using Tamiya cement, but you really have to hold it in place for so long, and those wings kept bowing out. Like this one bowed down, this one bowed up. So what I did was I trimmed off a little bit of the back part of the connectors for each wing. Then I added super glue to those leading edges and held it there until it had set roughly, about 10 seconds or so. And the same thing on this side. Now this side, I could not get it quite as tight as I could on this one. This one, it almost looks seamless. And then once they're glued, I just laid it down kind of like that. That's going to take care of this wing. On this wing, you need to add some kind of weight. So I had something else that I was using as a weight, but any little bit of weight that's going to hold that wing down, after about a minute or two, the super glue that I was using was kind of slow setting. I was able to bend this one up just a little bit to line it up, and now the wings are pretty well aligned. I think this is probably as best as I can get it. I had a little bit of super glue that squeezed out on that side. I could probably scrape that off. The lines line up fairly well. It's not 100%. I wish it was a little bit better. But overall, I really wish they'd done a different method for this. I think they just need to make the package larger. Or they could have made these wings single pieces that popped off and hid in the package somehow. I really hate how they did that. And looking at the TIE Reaper, the TIE Reaper looks like the wings are actually thinner than these wings. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the TIE Reaper is not one where we have to connect wing pieces together, because it looks bad. I don't like that. But anyway, accuracy-wise, it looks really great. It's not 1/72nd. This is 1/72nd. This is the Bandai kit. This is how big it should be. But the detail is pretty spot on. Jazwares, they don't get the molds that do super deep detail. So stuff like this looks pretty good. Not quite as good as Bandai, obviously. But for the most part, I'm very impressed with what they were able to capture for the TIE Striker. And it's a favorite design of mine. It's one of my favorite movies. I really love everything about it. The wings are about the only issue. They even included, when you open it up, and of course you're not going to be able to see this as well, but they even included the little gunner station and the actual proton bombs that are being lined up ready to drop. So I really appreciate that level of detail that they're going for. But it's just a shame about the wings. But anyway, it's a little bit about the TIE Striker. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.